Hi, I'm Alex McCord for thestir.com, and I am here with Sydney Leathers. You mentioned a moment ago that you made a mistake and you own it. Would you, knowing what you know now, have gotten into this relationship with Anthony Weiner or any other married man?
Definitely not. I would warn other women, especially younger women, to steer clear. Even if it's someone that you think is this great person and you have all these hopes and expectations, just don't do it. Just don't. It's not worth it. It's really not.
Let's talk about Huma for a moment. Do you consider sexting or having a text relationship where there's no physical contact, do you consider that cheating?
It's at least emotional cheating, I would say. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Huma has said that she blames herself because she was involved with the baby and she wasn't paying enough attention to him. Do you think that's fair?
Oh, that makes me feel horrible. I didn't even really know that. You know, at times I thought that maybe, it seemed he was reaching out to me so much, it seemed like he wasn't getting attention. He did seem needy in that sense. But it's sad, it's sad that she blames herself for her husband's impulse control issues or whatever you want to call it. I feel worse for her than I do for myself or anyone else involved in the situation. I mean, it's humiliating for her, I'm sure, obviously, especially because, like I said, he's done this before.
Right.
And I wasn't the only girl. He admitted that there were other girls, too, so God only knows who else he was sending pictures to and whatever else.
Right. What do you think might happen with Huma's career at this point? We've seen with an interview that Weiner gave to BuzzFeed, I believe it was yesterday,
yeah, I saw
that he's been a little indiscreet regarding his wife's career. Do you think that this whole scandal will hurt Huma's working life?
I mean, I think that it could, possibly. Obviously I've read things, but you never know what's really true. But I had read that the Clintons were a little annoyed by the whole situation, and it's embarrassing, and if Hillary's going to run in 2016, they kind of feel like it's drudging up their old stuff, and they don't like the comparisons between the two, and yeah, so I think that probably causes some tension and awkwardness, to say the least.
I'm sure. If Huma were in the room right now, what would you say to her?
I would just apologize profusely. I mean, what else can you do,
Does it boggle your mind that with sending the pictures to the dirty, you've touched off a firestorm that's bringing down a New York City mayoral candidate?
It's insane. Like, I never expected it to be this way at all. I mean, I knew it would get some attention, but I did not think it would be like this.
Do you think, given everything that's happened, that Anthony Weiner should drop out of the race?
I mean, of course, I think everyone thinks so, but he has such a big ego that I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he's like, screw it, I'm Carlos Danger, I'm gonna stick it out.
Given that you're not the only woman, given that this has happened before, was there any motivation in you releasing this, a desire to punish him?
There really wasn't, and I'm glad you asked, because no one has asked that question before, and I think it's an interesting point. I did kind of chastise him in 2011 for the first scandal, but I never felt like, oh, I'm going to get revenge or anything like, it was never like that at all. So, my only motivation was, okay, this guy is a liar, he's a hypocrite, and I have proof, and I am the proof, and here it is,
So in a political candidate, you're looking for somebody who's not hypocritical.
Yeah, I know. Rare, right? Almost impossible to find.
So would you call yourself a whistleblower?
People have asked me that. I guess sort of. I don't want to say I'm definitely not an Edward Snowden or like a Bradley Manning or anything like that. I'm not on that scale. But, I mean, in a tiny sense, maybe.
If you were going to give advice to married women to avoid this situation, what would you say?
Well, don't marry men like Anthony Weiner. I mean, don't let your husbands use social media. No, I don't know, really. I've never been married, so I guess it's hard to say. But I think just use your gut instincts. I really believe that women have a very strong intuition. And I think if you feel like something is off, something probably is off. And just go with that. And if you feel like something's wrong, try to talk about it. And the more you avoid issues, it's just going to build resentment, and it's just not a good situation.
Also, speaking of advice, what advice would you give to other 20-something girls who might find themselves in a situation with a married man?
Run as fast as you can. It's the last thing you want to be involved in. Even if you think there's some thrill to it, or you think it's, sexy and fun for a moment, it's not going to be sexy and fun forever. It's going to end really badly. Someone's going to get hurt. It's probably going to be you. He's not going to leave your wife for you. Don't think, you know what I mean? Just don't do it. Don't go there. It's not worth it.
Did you ever think that you might have a relationship with him?
No, that's one thing I will say that I wasn't totally delusional about. I'll say I was delusional in the fact that I thought that, we could have this weird secret thing and that it would never come out, nothing would ever happen, and, obviously it did, but I never thought, he'll leave Huma. I never even went there because I just knew, I didn't even want that, because it's going to sound so funny, but I didn't even trust him, you know what I mean? Like, who would want to be with a man like that, truly?
So, if you could tell Huma what to do now regarding Anthony Weiner, what would you tell her to do?
That's such a hard one. I'd probably tell her that she's too good for him. I really do feel that. And it's sad because I can tell that she doesn't feel that about herself, but she really should, She's brilliant. She has this amazing career. She's beautiful. She has all these things going for her. I honestly feel like he's kind of dragging her down, and it makes me really sad to see. That first press conference when he admitted everything, I seriously thought I was going to be physically ill. And it was because he was very inauthentic, and then there's her, and you watch her, and I'm a very empathetic person. It broke my heart to see her like that. You could see she was visibly shaken. You could see how truly hurt she was. And no one wants, unless you're a sociopath, no one wants to feel like they made someone feel that way. Right. It was awful. That was the hardest part of this whole thing for me, seriously.